The film begins in the heart of America at a bustling fight club. Amidst the cheers of fans and the energetic atmosphere, two formidable fighters, Harry and Ron, engage in a challenging match. Each move they make elicits enthusiastic applause and cheers from the onlookers. Amidst the excitement, Frankie, a determined young woman, stands out from the crowd. As she watches the fight unfold, her excitement grows with each passing moment. As the battle intensifies, Harry's agility and clever tactics give him the upper hand. He lands a series of powerful blows, gradually wearing down Ron until he falls to the ground, signaling the end of the match. However, the excitement doesn't end there. A newcomer named Elwood Dalton confidently enters the ring, prompting Harry to challenge him without hesitation, eager to face whatever challenges come their way. However, when Elwood reveals his identity, the atmosphere shifts drastically. Harry's confidence wanes, replaced by a sudden sense of fear and discomfort. Realizing he's not prepared to face potential danger from Elwood, Harry swiftly exits the ring. Despite not throwing a single punch, Elwood emerges as the unexpected winner, casually walking away from the fight club with a substantial sum of money, leaving the crowd bewildered and amazed. As Elwood heads towards his car, a man suddenly appears and viciously attacks him, accusing Elwood of causing him great suffering. Unfazed, Elwood calmly advises the man to consider the consequences before attempting harm, prompting the attacker to flee in fear. In that moment, Frankie gracefully approaches Elwood, offering her assistance. She reveals she's been observing him, recognizing his potential as a skilled fighter. However, she suggests that participating in small-scale fights won't lead to significant rewards. Elwood agrees, acknowledging the easy money from such fights with minimal effort. As Frankie tends to Elwood's wounds, she admits she initially intended to recruit Harry for a job, but Elwood's impressive abilities have shifted her preference towards him. Fascinated by Frankie's interest, Elwood curiously asks about her, prompting Frankie to share her troubling situation. She reveals she runs a cozy restaurant called Roadhouse in Florida, which has recently come under constant attack by local thugs. It's a serious problem for her, especially since the authorities have ignored it. Following this, Frankie earnestly asks for Elwood's help. She believes his fighting skills could bring back peace and security to her restaurant. Offering Elwood $20,000 per month and accommodation, Frankie suggests he work as a bouncer to safeguard her establishment, though Elwood hesitates. Initially intrigued by the offer, Elwood sees it as a chance for a new beginning after surviving a recent train accident unscathed but with his car wrecked. This prompts him to reconsider his priorities and perspective on life. The close call with death jolts him, making him seriously think about Frankie's proposal. As he ponders his next moves upon reaching Florida, Elwood meets Kat, a friendly bookstore owner. She warmly welcomes him, offering a book detailing the city's highlights. Kat's kindness boosts Elwood's mood, making him feel like he belongs in his new environment. Feeling more hopeful, Elwood starts to embrace the idea of starting fresh in this unfamiliar place. His arrival at the Roadhouse is a big moment, not just for him but also for the place itself. The Roadhouse, a lively restaurant with a club vibe, offers a sense of potential and community that Elwood has been seeking. Inside, Elwood is greeted by Laura, the bartender, and a young fan named James. To his surprise, James shares that he's a former heavyweight boxing champion, earning respect and admiration from those around him, including Laura, who quickly connects with him. Meanwhile, Frankie watches Elwood closely, possibly reconsidering her choices or just intrigued by his presence. Yet, the calm and peaceful atmosphere doesn't last long. The usual quiet vibe of the club gets shattered when Dell and his biker crew show up, bringing disorder and tension with them. Their imposing presence and aggressive actions quickly escalate the situation, with Dell even harassing a girl. James tries to defend her, but it only makes Dell more hostile. Seeing the tension rising, Elwood steps in calmly, suggesting they resolve the issue outside the Roadhouse. Despite Dell's mockery and ongoing vandalism, Elwood stays composed, hinting at the possible consequences for their property, especially their parked bikes. Outside, Elwood confronts Dell and his crew with courage and determination. A brawl breaks out between them. While displaying his strength, Elwood also shows kindness by taking them to the hospital to ensure they receive medical care. Following the scuffle at the hospital, Elwood encounters a nurse named Ellie. However, Ellie expresses worry that fights like these hinder others from getting urgent medical attention. After listening to her concerns, Elwood admits he fights for money, not to be a hero. As Ellie tends to his wounds, they delve into a deep conversation about Elwood's life as a fighter, offering him a chance to ponder his decisions. Their discussion prompts Elwood to think about the real impact of his actions and the direction he wants to take in the future. Meanwhile, back at the roadhouse, Frankie is impressed by Elwood and makes him a pledge. She guarantees him a regular paycheck every week for his assistance. They both anticipate that Elwood's presence could revive the roadhouse to its former glory. Furthermore, Frankie proposes Elwood a place to reside on a boat, which sounds appealing, but Elwood must remain cautious of the crocodiles dwelling there, stirring memories of his past, particularly a significant match he once engaged in. Laura, another employee at the roadhouse, brings food for Elwood. She reveals that previous bouncers departed due to conflicts with troublemakers. Laura even contemplated leaving, but Elwood's dedication to the roadhouse instills hope in her for better days ahead. In the meantime, Elwood frequently drops by Kat's bookstore, where he learns about Kat's struggles to sustain the business after her mother's passing. Elwood's empathy and compassion toward Kat reveal his genuine nature, earning him admiration from the locals who start to notice him around town. Simultaneously, Dell's gang faces repercussions for their actions at the roadhouse. Their leader, Ben, expresses dissatisfaction because they failed to intimidate Elwood as intended. Despite Elwood's nonviolent response, Ben insists on his gang displaying even more aggression to assert their toughness. Meanwhile, at the roadhouse, Elwood's presence continues to foster a positive atmosphere. He and James adeptly manage any disruptions that arise. Moreover, Elwood's remarkable proficiency in martial arts impresses the customers, further cementing his reputation as a capable bouncer who effortlessly upholds order. However, despite appearing calm on the outside, Elwood grapples with troubling memories from his days as a fighter. Recurring dreams and flashbacks remind him of unresolved conflicts from his past, lingering within him, awaiting resolution. The next day, craving a satisfying breakfast, Elwood visits a nearby restaurant where he unexpectedly meets Ellie. They exchange greetings, with Elwood complimenting the restaurant's renowned cuisine and acknowledging the underlying tensions in the town. Taking the opportunity, Ellie warns Elwood about the prevalent violence in the area, advising him to avoid troublemakers. Elwood listens intently, contemplating how to navigate the challenges ahead while prioritizing peace and safety in his new community. Later that evening, as Elwood makes his way home from the roadhouse, his tranquility is shattered by the screeching sound of tires. Dell ambushes Elwood, speeding towards him in his car. Elwood's instincts kick in just in time, allowing him to leap away as Dell's vehicle crashes into a nearby lamppost. However, Dell persists in his pursuit. Elwood's heart races as he desperately seeks an escape route. He decides quickly, jumping towards the nearby riverbank, but Dell's car strikes him, sending Elwood flying through the air and crashing into the cold water below. For a moment, everything is quiet as Elwood struggles to regain his bearings underwater. With determination, he fights against the current, breaking the surface to gasp for air. Weary and exhausted, he trudges back to his boat, feeling the weight of fatigue. Yet, he encounters another threat. Dell appears with a gun, intent on ending Elwood's life. In a struggle for survival, Elwood pushes Dell overboard into the water. Suddenly, a crocodile emerges and drags Dell under, ending his life. The following day, Elwood reflects extensively on the incident involving Dell. He becomes aware of the peril posed by the area's crocodiles. Despite Dell's malicious intent, his demise underscores the hazards at hand for Elwood. Contemplating the situation, Elwood resolves to depart and escape the turmoil. Shortly after, an associate of their boss, Ben, approaches Elwood, claiming Ben wishes to speak with him. Suspicious of the man's motives, Elwood confronts him directly. Sensing deceit, Elwood inflicts harm on the man's fingers. Subsequently, Elwood confides in Frankie. She expresses relief over Dell's absence, acknowledging the trouble he caused. However, Elwood seeks clarification regarding Dell's motivations. Yet, Frankie admits her limited knowledge on the matter, unable to provide conclusive answers. Following this, Ben discovers that Elwood declined to meet him, sparking his fury. He vehemently opposes the idea of Elwood taking control of the roadhouse. His agitation escalates when he receives a call from his father, Gerald. Meanwhile, in another part of town, a troublemaker named Knox wreaks havoc near local businesses, igniting a building. Gerald contacts Knox, instructing him to address an issue at the roadhouse. Simultaneously, Ellie invites Elwood to hang out with her, and they venture to a nearby island for relaxation. During their time together, Ellie discusses Dell's demise and the challenges of locating a body in the perilous area. Elwood confides in Ellie about his awareness of Ben's group, cautioning her against probing too deeply into his past due to his involvement in unsavory endeavors. Despite his warning, Ellie discloses that she has already conducted online research on him, deeming him worthy. Their bond deepens as they share a kiss while spending intimate moments alone on the island. Meanwhile, at Ben's residence, Knox confronts him, assaulting him and disclosing his task to eliminate the bouncer. Ben pleads for the opportunity to handle the matter himself, vowing to deal with the bouncer or face repercussions later. As Ellie bids farewell to Elwood near his boat, law enforcement arrives and apprehends him. Sheriff Jim, Ellie's father, brandishes a gun at Elwood, prompting Ellie to intervene and question her father's actions. She elucidates that Jim has aligned himself with Gerald and Ben's schemes, including their agenda to transform the area for illicit purposes. Worried about the escalating threat, Ellie implores Elwood to depart from the area and start anew. As night descends, two criminals stealthily approach Kat's store with intentions to set it ablaze. However, Kat bravely defends it against their nefarious plans. Meanwhile, Elwood heads back to the roadhouse, troubled by Ben's actions. Despite Ben's insistence for Elwood to leave, Elwood is resolute in confronting his past. During a meeting with Ben, Elwood's history as a fighter is brought up, evoking guilt over his involvement in a tragic altercation with his friend Jetway. Struggling to cope with the remorse, Elwood is confronted by Knox dispatched by Ben. Knox and his gang wreak havoc at the roadhouse, but Elwood intervenes to quell the violence. Recognizing Elwood, Knox challenges him to a brawl, resulting in a fierce exchange of blows. Despite sustaining injuries, Elwood holds his ground until they move outside the club. Feeling the pain from his wounds, Elwood decides to withdraw. Meanwhile, the club lies in ruins, leaving Frankie devastated by the devastation. Later, Elwood confides in Frankie, divulging Ben's scheme to seize control of the roadhouse for his drug enterprise. Despite the perilous circumstances, Elwood remains composed, showing little regard for the potential repercussions as he departs, leaving Frankie contemplative. Meanwhile, while waiting at the bus station, Elwood receives news of an assault on Kat's shop and her father's injuries. It becomes apparent that Ben's allies orchestrated the attack because of Elwood's friendship with Kat. Fueled by determination, Elwood decides to confront Ben at his home, where he encounters one of Ben's cronies. Acting swiftly and decisively, Elwood eliminates the henchman. Subsequently, he repels the remaining assailants from the premises. Upon discovering the impending delivery of funds destined for the mafia, Elwood opts to depart from the scene amidst the turmoil. Reflecting on the recent events and their emotional toll, Elwood grapples with conflicting feelings about his involvement in the escalating violence. Nevertheless, he remains steadfast in his resolve to safeguard those he holds dear. Walking away from Ben's residence, Elwood commits to finding a resolution to quell the chaos and ensure the well-being of his friends and family. Feeling regretful about his past deeds, Elwood sits alone on his boat, deep in contemplation. The recollection of injuring Jetway in a fight, resulting in his global ban, burdens him, evoking profound sorrow. The next day, Elwood takes matters into his own hands, pilfering money from a mafia member to construct a bomb on his boat. Shortly after, Jim approaches him, revealing Ben's abduction of his daughter, Ellie. Elwood agrees to assist, and they rendezvous with Ben to orchestrate a diversion. Elwood detonates the bomb on his boat, diverting attention. Amidst the chaos, he engages in a heated confrontation with Ben and his associates to rescue Ellie. Following an intense struggle, Elwood locates Ellie, but their vessel begins to sink. They swim to the surface, yet Elwood realizes they remain imperiled. Encouraging Ellie to swim to safety, he distracts their pursuers. However, Ben seizes Ellie on another boat and flees, leaving Elwood stranded. Meanwhile, Knox, a member of Ben's crew, chases Elwood, leading to a confrontation on Knox's boat. Elwood fights valiantly, eventually overwhelming Knox and tossing him overboard. However, their scuffle grabs Ben's attention, prompting him to arrive on a ship. Elwood and Knox leap from the boat just before Ben's ship smashes into the roadhouse, causing significant damage. Amidst the unfolding chaos, Elwood comprehends the magnitude of the devastation resulting from his actions. Across town, Knox scales a bridge and jumps into a car, speeding away. Meanwhile, Elwood reaches the roadhouse, where he engages Ben in a fierce showdown. Elwood retaliates and ultimately triumphs over Ben, eliminating his threat once and for all. However, Knox arrives just in time to challenge Elwood to another intense duel. Despite sustaining injuries, Elwood courageously confronts Knox, resolute on concluding the conflict. While they battle, Knox fights back fiercely, utilizing wooden pieces to harm Elwood. Despite Ben's insistence for Knox to finish Elwood, Elwood persists, fighting back with unwavering determination until he prevails, rendering Knox unconscious. Eventually, Ellie and Jim hurry to the scene. Jim urges Elwood to depart, pledging to handle the situation. Ellie concurs, having faith in her father's decision. Reluctantly, Elwood bids them farewell and takes his leave. Subsequently, Frankie and her team gather at the roadhouse, determined to revitalize it to its former splendor. Meanwhile, Elwood encounters Kat at the bus stop, reassuring her of his prompt return. Kat pledges to await his comeback, brimming with optimism for their shared future. Following this, Elwood departs with a sense of satisfaction. Meanwhile, at Kat's father's residence, he discovers the money left behind by Elwood. However, by that time, Elwood has already departed the town. Ultimately, Knox, who remarkably survived, causes chaos in the hospital, scheming his retaliation against Elwood. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you want to watch more videos like this. Thank you for watching and see you again soon. Take care.